So this access to the complete information will actually be shared with all of you. I didn't want to take too much time sharing that, so I've kind of picked up only 3 big insights that I want to share with you. The rest of the presentation will be shared, and I think for all of you who subscribe to People Matters, you'll also get access to the complete report in the next issue. So 3 key insights. The first one that really summarizes a lot of the piece is that there is a lot of talk but not so much of doing. So we'll double click there a little bit about what is actually happening in that space. So CEOs are wanting it. HR leaders are saying, yes, we need it. But really when you go deeper, there is not much happening. So that's one of the big key insights, which I think all of us already know. Second piece is that, and referring to what Ross also spoke about, a lot of the basics are missing. So whether it's access to my technology being integrated, access to the right kind of data, access to the right kind of capabilities internally to be able to leverage that data. So that's the second piece that we're going to go for. And the third piece is that there is a trend where organizations are looking at engaging a lot more external service providers and experts. And there is also a trend on investing on technology. But there is a red flag there because a lot of organizations do not actually have a formal budget and actually keep taking decision as a one-off. So that's a little bit of a red flag. So we're going to go through each one of them very quickly. The first one is about what I was telling you. The demand is there, but not translating at the ground level. So 80% of the respondents, this is actually a data set of 198 companies who responded, unique companies. So 80% of the respondents says, my management is asking for it, right? So it's very clear that the driver for pretty much all of us to be in this room means that my leadership team is asking for it, right? 98% of us, and there were many questions around these, but I wanted to just to pick up one. We believe that HR analytics is really going to play a great role for us to drive business strategy and business results. So we are very clear about that. But only 17% of the respondents actually have a goal. Like kind of like going back to, again, what Ross said as a context. What do I want to achieve with it? Or what am I solving for? Only 17% of companies have actually formalized that, right? And only 26% of respondents actually are doing any sign of predictive or prescriptive analytics. The rest of the respondents are doing either simple reporting or some advanced reporting kind of level, but only 26% of respondents are actually doing something which is predictive or prescriptive, right? So that's the state of the respondents in India. The second point is, why is that happening and what are the kind of challenges? So 70% of respondents are still using spreadsheets, mostly as a base system for analytics, right? Of course, it's a great start, and eventually trying to solve for the business problems you're trying to solve, but eventually there is a limitation that you will have if you use only spreadsheets. So 70% of respondents are using spreadsheets, and 17.5 are actually having a dedicated survey. So I'm going to, a dedicated software to support on that. So I'm going to pause here and ask you a question. We also asked the question, what is the biggest challenge that you are facing to implement that? So there are 3 options that I'm going to give you. One is inconsistency in capturing and collating data, and Ross referred to that. The second is about lack of integration between HR systems and non-HR systems, because eventually what we're trying to drive is business results. So how is my HR data integrated, talking to non-HR data, whether it's revenue, sales, cost, and so on. And the third was lack of awareness, lack of insufficient skills in my team on how to, or lack of experience actually, to be able to leverage that. So how many of you will say that the number 1 challenge is the first one, A? Okay. How many of you will say the number 1 challenge is B, lack of integration? Okay, very good. Lack of awareness and skills and experience? Okay, very good. So you got it right. The number 1 is lack of integration. But if you see, really the numbers are very close. So whether it's 61%, 57, 54, they're really, really there, especially the first 2 in terms of data and integration. So that's really what you told us on the challenges piece. The third piece is, okay, going forward, then now what? 60% of companies are looking at developing and formalizing a talent analytics system and approach. So companies are saying in the next 12 months, I am going to formalize my systems and my approach. 35% today are using external partners, only 35%. I was surprised to see that the numbers was actually so small. 23% are looking at engaging with external partners in the next 12 months. The challenge here is that only 25% of companies have a structured budget. Many of the organizations are actually investing on analytics on a one-off basis. And I think that's kind of contradicting, because on the one hand, you're saying, I'm going to formalize my system and my approach, but on the other hand, you're actually not structuring a budget. A little bit of a reflection back to all of you. And finally, and probably that's link of why we don't actually have a formal budget, the driver for me to invest as an organization will be on that particular intervention and what's the ROI of that intervention. And again, I'm raising a reflection there, because if you're only looking at ROI of an intervention, that's probably missing the woods for the trees. Because if you're looking at a larger piece and you don't have a budget attached to it, and you'll have to justify the ROI of every single intervention, then I think a lot of energy from the management, HR management team is going to go into actually building business cases for each one of those interventions. So that's really the third point. First, business is asking for it. We are ready for it, but not a lot happening at the ground level. Second, a lot of the basics have to be put together to be able to do that, the integration piece that we talked about, and the investment on technology that we talked about, and skills. And the third piece is really about, if you're looking at it as a long-term important thing for your organization, then not only put your goals and systems in place, but also align your budgets and actually really look at what will be the ROI of analytics. So we'll be sharing that data with all of you. I think it will be useful, because some of that data you can actually use to share with your own management team and drive some of the agendas that you're trying to do. So we look forward doing this regularly and also see how the needle is moving.